Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you for bearing with us. We had to take our new group council photo. We will move through our legislative caucus and then right into our legislative session. So council members, I will call the meeting to order following our caucus. Mr. Truesdale will lead the roll call. The invocation this evening will be led by Councilwoman Daniels, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Vice President Green. For communications this evening, we have the disparity study presentation by Mr. Frank Robinson, Vice President of eConsult Solutions Incorporated, and Mrs. Sheila Dow Ford of Impact Harrisburg. We will then move to courtesy of the floor, followed by approval of minutes. This would be the approval of minutes for the legislative session that occurred on February 14th, 2023. We will then move to reports of committees. The first report you will hear will be from Chair Daniels on behalf of the Community and Economic Development Committee on the work session of February 21st, 2023. The next report you will hear will come from Chair Rawls on behalf of the Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment Committee on the work session of February 21st, 2021, followed by the report from Chair Majors on behalf of the Building and Housing Committee on the work session of February 21st, 2023. Then a report from Chair Rodriguez on behalf of the Public Safety Committee on the work session of February 21st, 2023. And the final committee report you will hear this evening will come from Chair Lawson on behalf of the Public Works Committee on the work session of February 21st, 2023. We have two ordinances for first reading, Bill 4 of 2023, which will move to the Administration Committee, and Bill 5 of 2023, which will move to the Budget and Finance Committee. We do not have any ordinances for amendment or ordinances for final passage. We will then move to resolutions. The first resolution for consideration is Resolution 9 of 2023, which we will vote upon. Resolution 10 of 2023, which we will vote upon. Resolution 12 of 2023, which we will vote upon, and Resolution 16 of 2023, which we will vote upon. Resolution 18 of 2023 will move to the Budget and Finance Committee. Resolution 19 of 2023 will move to the Administration Committee. Resolution 20 of 2023 will move to the Budget and Finance Committee. Resolution 21 of 2023 will move to the Public Safety Committee. Resolution 22 of 2023 will move to the Public Safety Committee. Resolution 23 of 2023 will move to the Public Safety Committee. Resolution 24 of 2023 will move to the Public Safety Committee. And Resolution 25 of 2023 will move to the Public Safety Committee. The final resolution for consideration is Resolution 26 of 2023, which will move to the Building and Housing Committee. Is there any old business for discussion, council members? Okay. Any new business? Okay, thank you. Any other new business? Okay, and then we will adjourn. Okay, it is 6:06 p.m. I would like to call our legislative session to order. Mr. Truesdale, could you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Daniels.
Here.
Councilwoman Green.
Present.
Councilman Lawson.
Here.
Councilman Majors.
Here.
Councilwoman Rawls,
Present.
Councilman Rodriguez. Present. President Bowers.
Present. Thank you. The invocation will be led by Councilwoman Daniels. Councilwoman Daniels.
Let's just have a moment of silence and gratitude to all of the contributions our residents make to a better city. Thank you.
Thank you. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Vice President Green. Thank you, Vice President Green and Councilwoman Daniels. For communications this evening, we will have the presentation of the diversity study by Mr. Frank Robinson, who serves as Vice President of eConsult Solutions Incorporated. Good evening.
Good evening, members of council. Can you hear me? All right.
Yes.
Thank you for this opportunity. Before turning to the presentation provided by Mr. Robinson, I'd like to just make a few comments. My name is Sheila Dow Ford. I'm the Executive Director of Impact Harrisburg. And I want to thank you for providing this opportunity to present the findings of the disparity study. As Chairman Bowers has indicated, with me this evening is Mr. Frank Robinson, the Vice President of eConsult Solutions, the consulting group that facilitated the study in our behalf. Before we move into the study, as I indicated, I have a few comments that I would like to make. Prior to doing so, however, I would like to introduce the members of my board who are present. They are Gloria Martin Roberts, who is our board chair and who is seated in the chamber. Jackie Parker, who is our board member, who is seated in the chamber. And I would like to also introduce Larry Siegel, who is our compliance consultant, who was driven up this evening, who is also seated here, who was driven up from right outside of Philadelphia to attend this gathering. I would also like to point out that the members of the Disparity Study Committee included Marita Kelly, Ms. Parker, Jacqueline Parker, and Mr. Carl Singleton, and as well as myself, just to give you some sense of who the members were who were a part of this study. And finally, I would like to point out that Mr. Neil Grover is your city solicitor, is a former member of the Impact Harrisburg board and also served for a number of years as its board chair. Again, before we turn to Mr. Robinson's presentation, I would like to give a short exposition on the events leading to our presence here this evening. As you know, as a response to the fiscal insolvency of the city, the state appointed a receiver some years ago, out of which was developed a written blueprint for writing our fiscal ship. That document, the Harrisburg Strong Plan, serves as the template for many of the actions that you undertake around budgeting, accounting, accountability, and governance. The plan not only has given guidance on the fiscal elements of recovery, it also addresses deficiencies within the city, within the human realm, around housing, economic development, communication, and capacity building. To address these challenges, the plan proposed that two entities be developed and funded. However, it became clear that combining the two proposed entities into one and combining the seed money allocated to each was a more practical and efficient manner for moving forward. Thus, Impact Harrisburg was born with $12.3 million in seed money and with a mission and mandate derived directly from the Strong Plan. Pages 53 to 54 of the Strong Plan, which serves as the blueprint for the city's revitalization, call for the development of a nonprofit for the purpose of lessening government, promoting commerce, encouraging economic development and employment, attracting new businesses, combating community deterioration, encouraging stabilization, and stimulating new job development and retention. The actions taken pursuant to these goals, according to the strong plan, shall be taken in each case exclusively for the benefit of and in order to facilitate, perform, or assist with the performance of the purposes and functions of the city. The strong plan, which is the template of everything that Impact Harrisburg has engaged in, goes on to list as the additional functions of this entity: provision of technical and grant assistance, low interest loans or grants to individuals and businesses for creation, expansion, and relocation to the city, including increasing the opportunities and capacity for minority and other disadvantaged groups, women-owned businesses, and others. Provision of resources and funding for local job training and development for the retention, expansion, creation, and attraction of jobs and businesses to the city, and investment in other entities, agencies, and organizations that provide funds to new and existing businesses that foster local job creation and diversity in workforce, supplier chains, and area assets. The performance of these functions by Impact Harrisburg, according to the plan, are not intended to exclude the performance of such functions by the city or other agents or instrumentalities of the city as contemplated by the strong plan or otherwise. Rather, the actions to be taken by Impact Harrisburg are intended to be performed in addition and complementary to any such action taken by others. It is out of this vision, I submit, council, that emerged the work of Impact Harrisburg, the development of the projects to which you have been introduced in the past, as set forth in our brochure entitled A Work in Progress, copies of which were previously distributed to council and others, and which outline the 3 rounds of economic development funding we have created and administered. As Mr. Robinson, our consultant, will further detail, the Disparity Study Project represents a focused effort to identify the degree to which we, all of us as a community, have built economic development capacity among diverse constituencies that comprise our city. It measures where we are against a set of factors and sets forth strategies for improvement. The study arises out of discussion within Impact Harrisburg about the need to focus our attention on building a more diverse, inclusive, knowledgeable, and engaged workforce that can respond to city, county, and state RFPs and bid solicitation protocols, and that can improve the number of businesses within the city that are diverse. The disparity study also serves to provide data supporting policies and actions taken by local government to reach that broader cross-section of the community that is identified within the strong plan as a necessary component, a necessary ingredient to building a holistic, inclusive community. That, I submit, is the backdrop for initiating the disparities study. The Impact Harrisburg Board reached out to the city to partner on this initiative. Thereafter, the county also joined the initiative as a financial partner. The entire $250,000 cost of the initiative was allocated among the 3 partners. Pursuant to an RFP process, eConsult was chosen as the consultant on the project. The project was placed on a fast track and started and completed within a 6-month time frame. Mr. Frank Robinson, the Vice President of eConsult Solutions, has joined us and will present to you the final conclusions of the study. We hope to have your endorsement of this important study this evening, which will serve as a template for improvement within the city of Harrisburg. Thank you, and now I will turn the presentation over to Mr. Robinson.
Thank you so much. And to members of council, to all those who are gathered, on behalf of eConsult, as well as our partners, Milligan and Company, Winston Terrell Group, and Emperor Consulting, who is our legal counsel, we are thankful for the opportunity to be with you this Thank you again to Sheila and Impact Harrisburg, to the city of Harrisburg, particularly the mayor's office and the Office of Procurement, and Dauphin County for allowing us to have this opportunity. And it's an honor to present to you as you're thinking through, as Sheila has eloquently laid out, the future of the city, some of the mandates, but also kind of where you want to go. And hopefully this is another piece of the puzzle for you. The presentation is simply going to outline the report purpose, give you some sense of the timeline, give you an overview of the historical spend. We'll briefly touch upon availability, utilization, and disparity, and then some additional explorations, and then conclude with some recommendations. And all the things we're doing is giving you kind of some of the highlight view. We're grateful for the work that we've done together, a lot of work that went into the report. The main purpose is to provide a baseline for understanding utilization and availability. To understand the baseline of the city's utilization of minority businesses, women-owned businesses, and disadvantaged businesses relative to availability in the marketplace and vendors the city has to choose from for procuring goods and services. Secondly, we want to substantiate any appropriate race and gender-specific contract participation goals and programmatic remedies to guide the city's efforts to ensure equitable access to diverse businesses and for future economic opportunities. Just to give you a quick synopsis of the timeline, we started in April of 2022 and then concluded between September and November with some finalizations. Let me just walk you quickly through what the timeline meant. In May, we conducted data collection. We established a relevant geography, which I'll talk about in 1 second. We looked at the taxonomy of spend. So what was the spend over the last 5 years from the city? We calculated utilization. We looked at some custom systems and then custom system approaches. And then we did some anecdotal evidence. So I want to just dive into the anecdotal evidence for a second. We worked with the city. The city was a great partner, along with Impact Harrisburg, in getting names at advocacy groups, former contracts, and going out and soliciting kind of the anecdotal evidence from businesses, community partners, see what was happening to supplement the data. The data says one thing, and we know what the number says, but it's also good to hear from people who either want to do business with the city or has done business with the city, to see what they've said. That went into August, where in August we were able to start to calculate disparity, conduct internal interviews, did business formation analysis, did capital analysis. We had a review of our legal team of the methodology, and then was able to come up with findings and recommendations. September, we were able to present a draft to Impact Harrisburg and to the city. And then from September to November, just made small refinements to the plan. Let me just talk about historical spend really quickly. In this report, the team looked at roughly $150 million of spend by the city from 2017 to 2021. About 60% of that spend went to firms within Dauphin, Adams, Lancaster, Cumberland, and in York counties. And most of that spend, sorry, I know that's hard to see. 40 of that spend went to other counties, which were about 19 counties, which were no more than 1 or 2%. 22% of your spend went was here in Dauphin County. 17.9% was in Adams County, 10.1% in Lancaster County, 5.4% in Cumberland County, and then 3.4% in York County. On the right side is by contract type. 48.2% went to construction. 31.8% went to goods and services, 12% for professional services, and approximately 70.3% we couldn't classify from the information. Let's look at availability. Important component of a disparity study is comparing utilization with availability. Availability is a portion of a firm's jurisdiction that can do business within their area of the diverse supply category, which was estimated for the city through a combination of direct survey of businesses in the region, which you'll see on this slide, and the review of publicly available federal census, which will be the next slide. So when you look at this particular slide, and when we did direct surveys, what you'll see from that is that on the construction, 29% was available for Black businesses. Professionals, 41%, goods and commodities was 29%, which represented availability of 35% of all spend for Blacks. Hispanics was 5% for construction, 10% for professional services, 0% for commodity, and which represented 6% of all spend. Availability for Asians was 3% for construction, 10% for professional services, 6% for commodities and goods and services, which represented 7% of all spend. Your certified MBEs, 16% for construction, 21% for professional services, 12% for goods, commodities, goods and services, and 17% for all spend. Women were 37% for construction, 58% for professional goods and services, 85% for commodities, commodity goods and services, and then 59% of all spend. And then you had some other categories that were below there, which represented all diverse spend, 47% availability for construction, 38% availability for professional services, 44% for goods and commodities, and 42% of all spend. From federal census data that came through, which was another source that we looked at, this tells another story. So I want to go to that second line. Construction from the federal census says 0 for Blacks, Black, 1% for professional, 1% for commodity, 1% for all spend. Availability from Hispanics, 1% construction, 1% professional, 1% commodity, and then 1% for all spend. Asian is 0% construction, 2% professional services, 6% for goods, commodity, goods and services, and 4% of all spend. Women, 8% construction, 18% professional services, 18% for goods and commodities, and 17% of all spend. Then going down to the last line here, 9% for combined diverse spending, 23% for professional services, 27% for goods, commodity goods and services, and then 24% for all spend. So again, the first one was from surveys that we were able to conduct. The second one is a federal source for business services. They can combine, and this is what a consolidated picture looks like when you combine those together. of what spend of availability will look like, which will look at versus utilization in a second. Just to go to the second line, black, when we combine those, it looks construction is 3%, professional services 5% for black, 1% for commodities, goods and services, 3% of all spend. Construction, Hispanic, 1% for construction, 5% for professional services, 6% for goods and commodities, and 5% of all spend. Asian, 15% for construction, 25% for professional services, 15% for goods and commodities, 20% of all spend. Women, 10% of construction, 20% of professional services, 20% for goods and commodities, 50% of all spend. Going down the combined diverse spend, 20% construction, 35% professional services, 35% for goods and commodities, and all spend is 30%. Utilization. Let me just. So important component of disparity study is utilization and availability. An important component of diversity study is comparing utilization with availability. Utilization is proportion of the city's spend that goes to various diverse supply categories, which was estimated for the city by analyzing your historic spend, that 150 million that we looked at before. So when we looked at utilization, for construction was 0.12%, for MBEs, 2.3% for professional services, approximately 12% for goods and commodities, and 4.65% of all spend. The information there, we utilized that. The information was a little, we couldn't break that out as much as we needed to, but we got to the MBE line. But that was the most important line on that, which has, when you look at the combined, is 1.88% at the bottom with all diverse spend from business entities, approximately 10% for professional services, approximately 15% for goods and commodities, approximately 7.5% for all spend utilization. So there's a numerator and a denominator when you come to disparity studies. An important component of disparity studies is comparing utilization with availability. A disparity ratio is utilization divided by availability. So utilization is less than availability, then that yields a disparity of less than 1, which is considered underutilization. It is estimated that across all diverse supply categories and contract types, that the city has disparity studies far less than 1, suggesting significant underutilization. And then just to go at the bottom line here, diverse spend is 0.09 for construction, 0.18 for professional services, 0.36 for goods and commodity, and 0.18 for all spend. Just as a way of background, 1 or 2 things that are not always calculated in the numbers, but also important are things business formation analysis and capital access analysis. Utilization lagging availability seems to warrant the use of race and gender-specific goals to remedy this estimated underutilization. Additionally, the disparity study took 3 additional steps to substantiate the need for race and gender-specific remedies, all related to determining whether disparities exist that hinder disadvantaged groups from business formation, business growth, and capital and capacity building in the first place. First, a business formation analysis of the region indicates that even after controlling for other potentially explanatory influences, diverse groups have lower self-employment rates. Second, a capital access analysis at the national and regional level suggests that disadvantaged groups have disparate access to homes and business capital and other related negative outcomes. Third, anecdotal evidence collections provided additional insights into the challenges that disadvantaged groups face in forming their businesses and doing business with the city. Looking at the recommendations for these preliminary estimates for utilization and availability, combined with other analysis that were performed and primary research efforts, served as a basis of the initial set of recommendation of utilization goals seen here in this figure, and I'll read those in a second. The city can use these as a starting point for setting goals at a citywide, department level, and individual contracts, and then adjust them over time in response to performance and results from additional analysis. And so the recommendations are for Black related companies, construction 70%, professional services 11%, commodities, goods and services 9%, all spend 10%, Hispanic 2% for construction, 3% for professional services, commodity goods and services 1%, all spend 2%, Asian construction 1%, professional service 3%, commodity goods and services 4%, all spend 3%, minority combined 10% construction, 17% professional services, 14% goods and commodities, goods and services, all spend 15%, and the goal for women 6% for construction, 15% for professional services, 13% of commodity goods and services, 10% for all spend. And so these are recommendations that we have. We made those based upon the utilization and some of the information, goals that are attainable, but are not too much of a stretch as you continue to grow. As I said before, those things can be adjusted as more information, more data is collected over the years. And just lastly, wanted to talk just a little bit about recommendations. As we were conducting the study, it was evident to us that the city has done a lot and has done, and particularly talking with procurement, that there are things that they have done that strives towards the goal that we all have, that you all have, of greater participation, including the addition of a new database that was being done, being implemented as we were doing the study, that will allow for information to be better collected and for to build upon the recommendations that are set for us. Also, our recommendations are built off of the city's work. And one of the natural things for any of us is that we do business with people that most people do business with people that they know or have gotten to know. And so a lot of the recommendations was made under the umbrella of the city continuing to have access for minority business to get to know people who are making decisions for them, so they could use them and get to know them and build upon that better. Some of these things are, as I said, these are things that we are encouraging, that are enhancements to what the city has been doing in the pyramid department, Impact Harrisburg and others. So transparency and technology, the database, the new database is going to allow for better data tracking. So continue to build off that, allowing for certifiable designations. That's going to happen with that as well. Unified diverse supplier directory. I know that's being enhanced, and they continue to do that. Public and interactive versions of the disparity study, looking to enhance that. We believe that this is a baseline, but making sure that this continues in iterations, that will be important. Immediate connections with recently certified firms, so making sure that we're connecting with those firms that are certified, making sure that they know about those opportunities, making sure that we're walking people through that. Some of the business outreach and marketing, encourage and support certification. So making sure that minority businesses have that assurance that, one of the things that we've gotten that was an anecdotal was people were not sure about how to do that. So some of this is a continuing education of that infrastructure for more ongoing communications, to continue to build that out, outlets for in-person engagement, and then supplementing engagement on remote platforms. So your social media continue to build upon that the city was doing. And so those are some of the main recommendations that we have. So I'll submit that as the report. And
Thank you very much for your presentation. Just wanted to note, page 5 of your presentation looked a little bit different than what was shared with us in
Yes.
terms of the pie chart. So I think we didn't have the county chart by county type. We had by contract type, I believe.
there's not a map there.
Oh, there is a map,
The
but
map,
the other, okay.
the map is the one on your version. The map is
Okay.
what that is.
Thank you
I
for
don't know how to
clarifying. I
do
think we were all sort of
No
looking
problem.
for the pie chart, but thank you for noting that it's there in the map. As I mentioned to both of you before our meeting, and just for everyone's reference, of course, we'd like to take a deeper dive into the study. I know all council members have received it. Not sure if they've had time to review it and all of the data that you shared in your report this evening. So I would like some time to digest everything, so that council members can compile their questions and we can all work together to determine next steps. I know that the mayor does have her equity roundtables at work. I believe they are working on some potential solutions or presentations on her behalf. And then our research analyst is also pursuing some research opportunities in the same area. So I'm hopeful that we can bring all of this data, information, thoughts together and have a public conversation about it. So I'd like to propose a policy work session related to the disparity study at a later date. Of course, we will be in touch, but I did want to ask, has the study been made public? Is it publicly accessible anywhere for members of the public to view? We can't, sorry. If you could please speak into the
Can
microphone.
you hear me now? Okay, all right. I would say that, so Impact Harrisburg received the study, as did the city. And so the city certainly has, as a public entity, has every right and opportunity, and I would encourage them to make it a public document. And we have done the same in terms of, as a private nonprofit, we don't have the platform the city has, but we have, of course, made it the disparity study available and accessible to you all, and we will do so to anyone who asks. But we would also, what we have not yet done is to move ahead of our partners, and we see our partners as the city of Harrisburg, and that would include city council, as well as the city administration and the county, which also served as a fiscal partner in this endeavor. We would love to see some greater communication, as you suggested, around the sort of the policy implications of the study. And we would like to utilize our consultant in terms of those discussions. That seems to me to be a logical next step in this process. And so that's a long way of saying that those who want access to the report certainly have venues for receiving access. And if I may make one other point.
Sure.
I was remiss in failing to mention Hillary Green, who was your procurement director for the city of Harrisburg, who was also a critical member of the disparity study team, and who, as we move through the process, as Mr. Robinson alluded to, the city is building its new database, and the implementing its new IT system. And Ms. Green was able to actually to confer with us and provide real-time information and feedback. And it moved in a couple of different directions around how to really build a robust system that incorporated the suggestions that are set forth here, the ones that are that don't go too far, but that are really the common sense ones around being able to identify individuals who are doing business with the city and the like. And so that was really a really good and I would say a robust a way of really acting in a way that we were all on the same page in building something, that framework, literally and figuratively.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for clarifying. I wasn't sure if the county had made it accessible at all, but thank you for noting that anyone that is interested in viewing the disparity study is more than welcome to. So thank you again for your time and your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. We will now move to courtesy of the floor. Just a few housekeeping notes before we begin. You will have 2 minutes to share your comment. If you could please state your name and your address for the meeting record. If you don't feel comfortable sharing your address, please share the vicinity in which you live within the city. Mr. Truesdale will serve as our timekeeper. We'll begin to my far right. Is there anyone that would like to offer public comment this evening? Seeing and hearing no one, anyone in the center? You may have to turn that microphone on. I'm not sure if it's on. There's a gray button at the bottom. Okay. It's on.
For offering an opportunity. Here, we have Franklin H. Allen, President of the Greater Harrisburg. NAACP.
I'm sorry, we can't hear you in the room. You could speak into the microphone. I think it is on.
Franklin Allen,
Thank you.
better. President of the Greater Harrisburg NAACP, and I stand to commend all of you, researchers, and the facts that all of you have heard tonight that will help facilitate the growth of the Black community within Harrisburg. My observation is, I've been here since 1986. My observation of the city, as well as other cities that I travel to across the United States, is that in cities, minorities are still, after 100 years, still having to prove not only that they're Black, but they're biased against. Not only that they're biased against, but the basis. And we still, after 100 years in this city and many others across the United States, still lack the concern of those in power seats to make prime directives of taking care of their citizens, their citizenry, as well as the issues and problems that they have. We're talking about education, housing, and the benefit of city jobs, county jobs, and all of those things that lift people up out of poverty and establish them where they can buy homes and have equity in labor and labor money. So I stand to commend this disparity report. What it does is that it brings to light the very need of citizens of the city of Harrisburg. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the center that would like to offer public comment?
Good evening, council members. Joseph Robinson, president of the Martin Luther King Leadership Development Institute and treasurer of the Greater Harrisburg NAACP. I reside in 1009 Bradley Drive. I just wanted to again echo President Allen and say I'm so glad you did the study. Some of the numbers were disheartening. I think you would agree that let's talk about the availability as well as the actual utilization of minority firms was bleak. So I'm glad that you all are going to take that deeper dive and look at this. But as I looked at this, the availability, I don't know what approach we're going to take to build up our competency for our firms, our Black and brown firms. I know one strategy that people use sometimes in communities is that mentor protege approach, where you take a prime and partner them with a firm so they can build some capacity so that we're not always at the same point. I'd hate to be at the same point 10 years from now, saying that there's just not enough available Black and brown firms, but we don't put anything in place. And you all have to use your authority to kind of push contractors in that direction, I believe, so that we can build up our capacity. So I'm really going to be following this, and I really thank you all, because we've been making this plea to different municipalities, et cetera, in our community. So I commend you all and the city for taking the city, the Impact Harrisburg and the county for taking a step forward to actually conduct the study. Now I'm going to be very keenly interested in how we roll it out and how we, President Bowers, drill down to really figure out some strategies rather than what we've traditionally done. We always do the meet and greet. Let's meet in what do we call those sessions where we bring the contractor in and the subs. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me sit down here. But I just don't want to just be more of the same. So let's be creative. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the center section that would like to offer public comment? Okay, seeing and hearing no one, anyone to my left?
Good evening, Council. Pamela Parson, Holly Street and Allison Hill. President Bowers, if you would be willing to indulge me, I would like to give Mr. Trudeau some photos to share with you all. Start my timer once you get those photos. I would appreciate it. In the meantime, I will identify what you're going to see. And those are not, they're not professional photos. I took them from a distance through a fence and was not very good at cropping them because I was short on time. But you will see a public works truck, a large truck with a claw, and the much larger photo has up in the upper right, you will see a front end loader with the city seal on it. What you don't see is there was a second front end loader there. This is at a property called Joshua Farm, which is on South 18th Street between Holly and Mulberry Street. And this was taken yesterday morning. And these three vehicles and their operators were there for 3 hours yesterday, removing trash from Joshua Farm, which is owned by the school district, and it is leased or licensed to Wildheart. And I made some calls about this because I wondered why a city vehicle was on a property that wasn't owned by the city. And I found out that Tannen Herman at Wildheart had in fact called Public Works and asked that this trash be picked up, which was from United Way Day of Caring back in September, which was piled up in the corner of the property for the last 5 months. I also learned that Director West does not mind picking up anything that Wildheart asks for because he believes that it is saving money in his budget and it is saving the city money. So I don't understand that. And I would like it explained to me and to the public how that's saving us money. Those 3 men operating that equipment, did they donate their time yesterday? Did someone donate the fuel for 3 hours? The tipping fees. There were 2 trips to the incinerator. Did La Suama comp those tipping fees? Is Wild Heart being billed for that? And are they reimbursing the city? I suspect that the answer to every one of those questions is no. And in that case, the math isn't mathing for me. How is that saving us money? Because the city's paying for that. You're paying salary, you're paying tipping fees. And I would just like to also point out that one of the other explanations that we need is, why does Wild Heart get that special service as a private, nonprofit, religious entity? Why do they get that service that is not afforded to me or to any other resident in the city? Yes, I can take a couch out and I can put it on the curb and I can let Public Works know and they will pick it up. But if I put out more than one item, I'm billed for it. And I cannot ask city Public Works to come into my house and carry out my couch. I have to take it to the curb. And if I have a pile of green waste, which I think is what most of this was, if I have that pile of green waste in my backyard, I can't call Director West and ask him to send Public Works to my yard to clean that up. I have to take it to the curb. So I'm wondering about the math. How does that save the city money? And why are they afforded when I am not? Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions you have related to Public Works, I'd ask that if you wouldn't mind staying after to speak with Councilman Lawson, our Public Works Chair. Okay, you're welcome. Is there anyone else to my left that would like to offer public comment? Seeing and hearing no one, we will move forward with our meeting agenda. Next, we have the approval of minutes for the legislative session of February 14th, 2023. Council members, are there any revisions to these minutes?
Yes, Madam President. Would it be permissible to add why the recusal took place from me and Councilman Lawson? It just says recusal. I didn't know if it was necessary to put the actual reason in the context.
What is supposed to happen, Councilman, is that, and we mentioned it, talked about this briefly, is that each of the individuals recuse themselves, provide a simple written, whether it's email to the clerk, and they get appended to the minutes for that meeting. It's probably the first time the current clerks had that issue. But that's, so the public record will be there for the future.
It'll be
But-
attached to
And it'll be attached, so
Yes.
that's how that
Thank you.
goes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No, thank you for addressing that. Any other questions, comments, or revisions to note? Okay, seeing and hearing none, the minutes will stand approved. We will now move to reports of committees. The first report you will hear will be from Chair Daniels on behalf of the Community and Economic Development Committee on the work session of February 21st, 2023. Chair Daniels.
Thank you, and I'll try to be brief. On February 21st, the Community and Economic Development Committee convened to review resolution number 9-2023, which it was a land development plan / lot consolidation to allow for the construction of a 4-story mixed-use development, commercial and residential building. The applicants in the city both articulated their reasons for requesting the approval, and I'm happy to recommend that we vote to approve this resolution. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next report you will hear will be from Chair Rawls on behalf of the Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment Committee on the work session of February 21st, 2023. Chair Rawls.
Thank you, President Bowers, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. On February 21st of 2023, the Parks and Rec and Enrichment Committee convened to discuss Resolution 16 of 2023. This is a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to award funding in the amount of $40,000 to the Capital Area Greenbelt Association in the form of a local match in support of their application to the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection Growing Greener Grant application for the Parkway Creek Restruction Phase 3 project. Grant Director Rebecca Vollmer joined us, and she explained that the $40,000 needed would be the Capital Area Greenbelt, would be for the Capital Area Greenbelt match, where they already have gotten $971,830 received from the Department of Environmental Protection Growing Greener Grant. And the $40,000 would help them, of course, match it, which would give us benefits for the city of the portion of the Capital Area Greenbelt that we own. And I am asking my fellow members to vote yes on this because the volunteers that currently work on the Capital Area Greenbelt have worked diligently and hard all year round to maintain the Greenbelt, and we should give them the $40,000 they need to match the green.
Thank you. The next report you will hear will be from Chair Majors on behalf of the Building and Housing Committee on the work session of February 21st, 2023. Chair Majors.
Thank you, President Bowers. The Building and Housing Committee met on Tuesday, February 21st, 2023, to consider one resolution, Resolution 12 of 2023, a resolution appointing Dr. Ken L. Hurst, PhD, to serve on the Historical Architectural Review Board for the city of Harrisburg. Dr. Hurst was present and provided us with a brief background on his education and his reason that he wanted to serve on the committee. He is a physicist who built a second career in urban planning. This is a PhD from urban planning from the University of Texas, and also as a physicist from the University of Pennsylvania. Mr. Hurst, his enthusiasm to serve on this board was very clear and evident by all members of the committee. He answered several questions, just talking about the need for figuring out the balance between preserving historical structures in your community, as well as trying to figure out how to balance that with some of the newer materials that are being utilized in construction and in our city. So with that, I would recommend that that we would move forward with Mr. Hurst's nomination to serve on the Historical Architectural Review Board. And with that, that concludes my report.
Thank you. The next report you will hear will be from Chair Rodriguez on behalf of the Public Safety Committee on the work session of February 21st, 2023. Chair Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you all for joining us this evening. During the work session of February 21st, 2023, the Public Safety Committee met to discuss the quarterly reports for the Department of Public Safety. Commissioner Tom Carter and Captain Martin joined us from the Harrisburg Police Department. Briefly reviewing some of the metrics from the fourth quarter of 2022, recruiting standards have significantly elevated. 11 recruits from the January of 23 class give hope to a full complement in the Bureau of Police. We've experienced 24 homicides in 2022, 3 unfortunately in which were a double homicide. The Violence Intervention Grant should assist in reducing the number of gun violence in the area of Harrisburg. The PCCD also awarded the city another grant in late December in which the Bureau is coming up with a plan for those funds to be allocated correctly as we speak. Tourniquet and Stop the Bleeding training has been helpful for the officers on the force. Captain Martin also put emphasis on de-escalation being used as a first option, and through continuous training, that practice can save lives. The Narcan utilization was at 15 in the fourth quarter. To date, we had 54 Narcan incidents, out of which the high majority of those was used to save lives. We obtained a new K-9 officer named Czar in the fourth quarter, which brings us up to 5 K-9 units in the department. Our co-responder mediator role has been great, providing crisis intervention on the scene. 65 officers have completed that course. 132 calls in the fourth quarter with a co-responder, and all resolved without incident. Adult offender section was 51 cases assigned. Juvenile offenders was 118 cases with 457 overall, and that is manned by 13 detectives. From the Bureau of Fire, we had Chief Enterline joining us, and he gave an overview of the quarterly reports for the fourth quarter of 2022 as well. Chief mentioned that the hiring process began in November, and unfortunately, we went from 7 to 4 candidates. We're currently at 93 fire officers and hopeful to recruit more this season. Chief spoke about the possibilities of a 3 to 5 year plan looking into a new fire home. 280 incidents of the Harrisburg Police Department were getting dispatched from outside our area, and this was due mostly to the lack of staff in the surrounding areas. We have 2 members deployed in the military currently and 1 out with a shoulder injury. 50 homes had smoke alarms installed in the area, which will assist in the reduction of home fires in the 2023 year. A $15,000 grant will be used for new tools and equipment that will help our fire officers remain the best at what they do. Chief spoke about helping with different holiday parades and events and looks forward to a safe 2023 Carnival and Fair season. There will be an aggressive hiring effort coming up, and Chief asked everyone if they can help in these efforts for recruitment for new blood into the Bureau. A new scheduling management system is currently underway that should help the flow much easier for staff. The new bay doors are on the 6th Street Fire Department, so please stop by, take a look at those, and also a new ladder truck should be arriving to the city soon. For the Bureau of Codes, we had Director Ann Montgomery join us, and she gave a very impactful but yet brief report stating that the revenues generated in the fourth quarter were around $616,653. Our proposed was surpassed by 53,000. Permits issued were at 629 and over 448 inspections for the season. The Bureau of Codes was able to issue out 429 citations and over 100 in court hours. 34 block walks were what concluded Aunt Montgomery's report, and also the Catherine School and Steele School are the newest to develop in the area. And that would conclude the report for the Bureau of Public Safety for the city of Harrisburg. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. The final committee report you will hear this evening will be from Chair Lawson on behalf of the Public Works Committee on the work session of February 21st, 2023. Chair Lawson.
Thank you, President Daniels. On Tuesday, February 21, 2023, the Public Works Committee met to discuss Resolution 1023. Resolution 1023, a resolution accepting an offer from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation in a total of $445,852 for the compensation and other associated payments related to the acquisition of 0.49 acres for required rights of way, 0.175 acres of drainage underground structure support easement along South 19th Street, and authorizing the execution of all documents required to effectuate the conveyance of such for the I-83 widening project. Solicitor Grover let us know that this was a reintroduction of a previous resolution. The resolution needed to be reintroduced due to the need to relocate a fabrics building that was located on site. The negotiation with PennDOT was a result of the city ensuring that the cost of PennDOT's expansion does not result in any cost to the city of Harrisburg. Mr. Grover notated that this part of the property was acquired as a result of the eminent domain acquisition from Brenner Motors on Paxton Street, and that there is substantial room to relocate that building on site. Council asked questions to Mr. Grover to make sure that the cost will not affect the city in any way, and also that we would not be responsible for any of the ongoing site work and or responsibilities of that location. He confirmed that that is the reason for the resolution. And so I would recommend that we accept and pass this resolution as it does avail of flexibility, so that as we go through the to the changing cost of this project, it can be noted in saving the city from bearing any expense from the I-83 widening project. And that concludes the business of the Public Works Committee.
Thank you. We have two ordinances for first reading this evening. The first is Bill 4 of 2023. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Bill 4, 2023, an ordinance ratifying an intergovernmental cooperation agreement between the city of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture to authorize the city of Harrisburg Bureau of Police to provide traffic control and protection services for the Farm Show Complex and Expo Center.
Thank you. Bill 4 of 2023 will move to the Administration Committee. The next ordinance is Bill 5 of 2023. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Bill 5, 2023, an ordinance appropriating American Rescue Plan Act funding from the United States Department of Treasury and authorizing certain expenditure of such funds.
Thank you. Bill 5 of 2023 will move to the Budget and Finance Committee. We do not have any ordinances for amendment or ordinances for final passage this evening. We will now move to resolutions. The first resolution for consideration is Resolution 9 of 2023. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 9, 2023, a resolution approving a preliminary land development plan construct, a 4-story mixed-use development consisting of commercial space on the first floor and approximately 48 apartments with associated parking on a 0.75 acre lot located at 1520 North 6th Street.
Thank you. Council members, are there any questions, comments, or concerns related to Resolution 9? Okay, seeing and hearing none, Mr. Truesdale, could you please call the vote?
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Rolls,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers.
Yes.
Resolution 9, 2023 passes by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. The next resolution is Resolution 10 of 2023. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 10, 2023, a resolution accepting an offer from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation in the total amount of $445,852 for compensation and other associated payments related to the acquisition of 0.49 acres for required rights of way, 0.175 acres of drainage/underground structure support easement along South 19th Street, and authorizing the execution of all documents required to effectuate the conveyance of such for the I-83 widening project.
Thank you. Council members, are there any questions, comments, or concerns related to Resolution 10 of 2023? Okay, seeing and hearing none, Mr. Truesdale, could you please call the vote?
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Rolls,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Bowers.
Yes.
Resolution 10, 2023 passes by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. The next resolution is Resolution 12 of 2023. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 12, 2023, a resolution appointing Dr. Kent L. Hurst, PhD, to serve on the Historical Agricultural Review Board for the city of Harrisburg.
Thank you. Council members, are there any questions, comments, or concerns related to Resolution 12?
Just one comment I forgot to note during my committee report was that this is for a 3-year term. And if so, chose it begin on March 1st of 2023 and end on March 1st of 2026.
Thank you for clarifying. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Okay, seeing and hearing none, Mr. Truesdale, could you please call the vote?
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Rolls,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers.
Yes.
Resolution 12, 2023 passes by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. The final resolution for consideration this evening is Resolution 16 of 2023. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 16, 2023, a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to award funding in the amount of $40,000 to the Capital Area Greenbelt Association in the form of a local match in support of their application to the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection Growing Greener Grant application for the Parkway Creek Restoration Phase 3 project.
Thank you. Council members, are there any questions, comments, or concerns related to Resolution 16 of 2023? Okay, seeing and hearing none, Mr. Truesdale, could you please call the vote?
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Rolls,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers.
Yes.
Resolution 16, 2023 passes by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we have Resolution 18 of 2023. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 18, 2023, a resolution approving the first proposed 2023 operations-related budget reallocation.
Thank you. Resolution 18 of 2023 will move to the Budget and Finance Committee. Resolution 19 of 2023. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 19, 2023, a resolution appointing Mr. Deron Jordan to serve on the Harrisburg Planning Commission.
Thank you. Resolution 19 of 2023 will move to the Administration Committee. Resolution 20 of 2023. Mr. Truesdale, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 20, 2023, a resolution approving a proposed 2023 debt-related budget reallocation, authorizing a prepayment in accordance with the terms of the third amended and restated settlement agreement between the city of Harrisburg and Ambac Assurance Corporation, and otherwise resolving the remaining forbearance liability of the city of Harrisburg arising from certain
along Second Street, Second Street from Market Street, State Street to State Street, Market Street from Second Street to Fourth Streets in Soma, which is Third Street from Market Street to Chestnut. I'm still getting used to say Soma. It will also be taking place with ice sculptures at City Island, Italian Lake, Midtown, Reservoir Park, and Shy Poke. So that should be interesting. It always is because they will be bringing back their fire dancers, their giant ice slides, and their live ice carvings. But I particularly am probably going this year for the chili cook-off, which is going
And City Council's 2-year in review is now available on our webpage. There's a large banner. It says 2022 year in review. I'd like to thank our research analyst, Mr. Cedric Humphrey, for compiling the review and ensuring that it was accessible via the website. So thank you for all of your hard work on that. Council members, the time is 7:19 p.m. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
second.
We stand adjourned. Thank
Thank you.
you.